Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Crew Talk, brought to you by Shoots.video. It's been a couple weeks since I've been with you all, so I'm excited to be back. And today we have a very large panel of guests to talk with today. And as usual, I'm going to go down the line, have them say who they are, where they are, and just a quick little sentence about what they do. So I'm going to go in order as I see everyone on my screen. And first up, I see Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hi. Okay. I'll be quick. I'm in LA. I have a sister company in San Francisco. I own a production company. We do everything from soup to nuts, from script to screen, commercial, documentary, corporate, national commercials, documentaries, TV. So we pretty much do the whole
everything.
thing. And we've been around since 2002.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
And next I have Mario. Hey, Mario.
Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Mario, obviously. I'm based in LA. I'm a cinematographer, DP, mostly work in commercials, music videos. I've done 7 features, trying to do a little bit more narrative work this year, which is fortunately picking up. I've been doing a few shorts, and most recent short, actually, Neil Lewis was talking about film. The most recent short I'm doing right now is on 416, so just working on that film side, trying to focus in that direction. Local 600 First AC. I probably need to be an operator at this point. I actually don't tell 600 I said that. I need to be an operator. I just worked on a show where I need to do that job. But either way,
very cool. Well, thank you for being here.
And
next I have Neil. Hey, Neil.
Hey, Sarah. My name's Neil. I am based in LA, Burbank, actually. I'm a director, producer, and cinematographer with my company called Film Dreams Inc. We've been going on for the last, I want to say about 4 years now. We do everything pretty much from concept all the way except for distribution. So we've done anything. Our main forte is narratives. We're prepping a feature right now, but we do a lot of short films from different writers. We are very much, for some reason, our bread and butter this year has been sizzle reels and music videos. I don't know why. But on the side, whenever I'm not working with our company, I am a local 600 camera operator. So do narratives through that, and waiting on the big feature that I worked on for almost 3 years, which is the Avatar sequel coming out this December. So
very cool.
It'd be fun to watch that finally.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Next, we have Abiel. Did I say that properly?
Yeah, no, that's great. Abiel, I'm recently new to California. I just moved here about 4.5 years ago. Sorry. So I just started freelancing, working for myself in 2019, and currently doing music videos, a lot of online YouTube videos now and TikTok videos. But things are great, and happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll have some TikTok questions for you later on today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And next I have Ryan. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Ryan Thomas. I live in Los Angeles, North Hollywood, and primarily do commercials. And I'm in Local 600. I'm also a Local 728 member. I came up through the lighting side. And then I also own a lighting rental house in San Francisco called Bolt Lighting Rental.
Very cool.
Shoots Video is a place for creatives to showcase their work and be seen by producers, marketing managers, corporate executives, and other future clients. Add your reel to Shoots Video today.
Thank you guys for being here. I have my list of questions as usual. And if anyone has a question while you're watching, feel free to drop it in the Q&A box, and we absolutely will get to it. One question that kind of popped to my mind right away when I heard y'all talking was Local 600. Now, I'm not familiar with that term. Does somebody want to jump in and kind of explain that term? Anyone? Mario, go for it.
That is just the ICG denomination for IATSE's union number in LA. It does work nationally and technically internationally. So yeah, if you work on a union set in Mexico City, for example, which I did for the show that I just operated on, I'm not in the Mexican Union, but it doesn't matter because 600 covers me, which is really interesting. I didn't know that. I think it's one of the only ones where, regardless of where you're at in the U.S., you can work as, ICG, whether it be a DIT, first AC, second AC, operator, DP, loader, utility. Technically, I recently found out LDs are technically 600, so that's interesting. But yeah, that's essentially what that means. 728, which is a thing that Ryan was saying, that is the electric denomination of the same thing. They're just a different chapter, per se, of IATSE.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you for that. One of my first questions that I have is how y'all got started in production. And Neil, I'm going to throw it to you first, kind of how you got started, what sparked that, the idea that you wanted to be in production.
I guess, geez, I'm gonna go way back. I mean, I was always filming and doing little stories and things like that. So, but I'm from Puerto Rico originally. So back when I was born and raised out there, it's the opportunities to get into any of that were very short lived. I think the only opportunity that you could have was if you knew somebody who was on TV, and they would kind of give you a hand. So I never saw it as a prospect. So I did a 9-to-5 for a long, long time until my grandfather on his deathbed literally slapped me on the face and told me I wasn't doing what I loved. And the next day I went out and started looking at film schools and everything else that I could find, because that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do production. I wanted to tell stories. And that's kind of where I'm at now. That happened in 2009, end of 09 to beginning of 2010. Went to Full Sail University in Orlando for film. Got my bachelor's there. Started working on every show that I could find, and that's been my trajectory over here.
Oh, very cool. I used to live in Orlando, so I'm very familiar.
Oh, very cool.
Great school. Great school. I know a lot of people who have gone through there. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was fun, except the incentives went away and everybody jumped ship and went either to Georgia or somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah, I know. A lot of people, a lot of actor friends I know have moved on up to Georgia, New Orleans, just different places to kind of, get into it there. But, pretty cool. Awesome. Daniel, what about you? What's your story?
Okay, let's see if I can make it quick and short.
Take all the time you need.
I went to San Francisco State University for my bachelor's degree in film studies, and then I decided to do production, and I got my MFA in production, which where I made my first feature in school while I was still a graduate, and living in San Francisco, and I also made a short documentary. So from there on, my feature got purchased by Netflix back when Netflix was just starting off.
Wow.
Which was like a huge thing for me, because it was about a startup, the .com bomb, that the bubble that burst back in 2003, 2004. So they were really, and Netflix was a San Francisco based company. So they purchased it. And so I thought, oh, great. Now I'm going to move out to LA and I'm going to make my own movies. So I moved to LA, did a lot of camera work, thought I was going to try and get into the union, but that kind of, I realized took away from my creative abilities, meaning, you're writing constantly. So you come home, you're tired from operating the camera, and then you're writing your own screenplay and you're pitching and all that kind of stuff. So to make a long story short, I said, well, I'm also a SAG actor. I studied theater, and so I'm on both sides of the camera a lot of times, but I don't talk about my acting stuff. I'm originally from Russia, so I speak fluent Russian, and I would do a lot of Russian bad guys, which is really weird because I'm actually a really good guy. Anyway, to make a long story short, I started my own production company back in 2002, and that's right when I was also working on my feature, but I incorporated in 2002. And from there on, I just worked it and built the client base and blue chip clients, and then just people that came back. Since I worked also in as a camera operator on the Hollywood side, I was able to actually hire people that work on films to work on smaller projects. So the quality of the work would be at a certain place. And I just kept at it. That's how I got into it. I love telling stories. It runs in my family. So from documentaries to features, personal stories, human interest stories are my most interesting ones. And that kind of bleeds into corporate and business videos and stuff like that, because it's all about story and personal story. And that's really how I got to where I'm at.
How do you choose, like, do you hear about someone's life, you're like, that would make a great story, like, I want to tell that story, like, how do you decide what
I read a lot. Like I read the New Yorker, I read, short stories, I all kinds of stuff. And because I'm so interested in documentary work, and I started off with making a documentary about my grandparents who were Holocaust survivors, I continued to chronicle my family's trials and tribulations from coming from the Soviet Union to America, running away from disaster. Of course, now it all melts together with what's happening in Ukraine. Everything is repeating itself. It's really crazy. But the stories are also, so whatever I can connect with personally, in terms of what's happening in the world wider and that's happening around me, then I, make films about that. Like I had a short that that premiered at the New Yorker documentary series that was based on my experience of coming to America. Wow. But that was a very personal, cool. That was a very personal story. So I'm trying to constantly, navigate between the personal stories that I own, that I have my own stuff, and then the corporate stuff where you have to, work to bring in the money. And my advice to everybody and anybody is that if you can find that place where you're enjoying the personal story that you're making, and try to approach that enthusiasm with someone else's story when you're doing corporate work, or you're doing, business, shoots for corporations, it can be a very gratifying experience, not just for you, but for them also.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that personal connection to really dial in the passion on any project, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
And did you still find your first, what did you say was a documentary that was on Netflix when you first started?
No, my first was a short documentary that I made about my grandparents. That was a film project. My dad said, I have to make a film. My dad said, why don't you make it on your mom and on your grandparents? I'm like, but who cares about, this two little Jewish little family, and he said, well, they have a pretty interesting story. You should talk to them. And then when I talked to them, I found out everything that they went through, how they lost their families, and then they were paired up together because they were survivors and they decided to have a family. It didn't actually have to do with romance. It just had to deal with survival. And my grandmother lost 2 kids, and then she decided to have a family so she can have 2 kids again, and then so the definition of love and what it means to people, who are survivors of trauma, became, that was like, wow, this is amazing. And then of course it went on to win a bunch of awards, it went festivals, and it played on PBS because my dad's like, tell a story about these 2 little guys,
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it all began, really.
Wow, that's so cool to have such a personal connection, to the beginning of a huge career. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Was it Ryan or who said that they do stuff for TikTok? Oh, hey, you might be muted.
Was that Abai? Or
Yeah. What does that mean? Like, what are you coming up with content? Or are you filming content for people? What does that mean?
I literally have been getting hired to do just 9:16 video, just everything, and it's only aimed for TikTok. And it's just interesting. I mean, it's what the world is in now, so it's pretty interesting. So,
I guess, you scroll TikTok and, I guess kind of Instagram as well. And some of the videos are only like 15, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, but they are high production. Like they look really good. So are creators coming to you guys and saying, hey, I want to either create this platform or I have this huge following platform. Help me make my videos look really good. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. That's what happens with me. They're just like, but even then they're still like, oh, it's going to be on cell phone. So the quality doesn't need to be that great. And it's just like, What?
I kill you inside when they say that.
Yes, because a lot of the times, like they'll pull out their phone and like, I want it to look like this, and I'm just like, that's not the same thing. Like it's
You can do that. You can set up your phone.
right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's difficult sometimes.
we did one too.
Oh, did you, Neil?
We did one for Cherokee uniforms.
Okay.
And it was their entire new Disney line of uniforms was coming out, and so we did a TikTok, and we actually shot it all on cinema cameras, and we found out literally that the owner was, I guess we were filming two campaigns in one. We just didn't know about it, so we were filming their bigger campaign with all the graphics and the effects. So obviously we shot 9:16, but we shot it wide so we can do whatever we wanted later on at 4K. And they were shooting on the side with a ring light and an iPhone 13 because they wanted to throw that content out there and then, it's crazy.
It's like immediate. It has to be like right in the moment it happens. It's got to be out there.
Yeah, they just want to throw everything out like right there and then. It's like, or at least 3 or 4 videos while they're doing it, and then showcasing us filming the other ones.
So did you have to flip your camera? Like,
no,
because all TikToks are all like,
Yeah. So it's really funny. So we figured out. So I have the new Raptors, and it basically frames it for you. So you basically you can pick the 9:16 frame on the tools, but because we're shooting with the full sensor just in case, because there's movement and there's all these graphics, and we want to have the higher quality in order to put in the graphics afterwards, all the freeze frames and stuff, so it doesn't look. So like you said, it's like Sarah said, it's like it looks like actually better quality than if it was just on the phone, although it's getting really merged very quickly. But yeah, we shot it all with the 9:16, and then all we did was put it through post and just run the timeline with the 9:16, so you can just frame there and then. But I've seen a lot of cameras which don't have, I guess, that frame tool yet, and they're all flipping them. And I get it. It's like, oh, well, this is only going to go for the client here, but I'm going, well, I'm doing a demo reel. I don't exactly want to go from a nice, widescreen to all of a sudden you've got this nasty vertical. It's like, I might as well just shoot it all that way and put it in on the demo reel that way. That's just my thinking.
I imagine also that the turnaround for that job has to be so fast. Like you film it and they want to post it like immediately, right?
Well, we did, at least ours. I can tell you because they wanted to time it to their uniform line coming out at the same time. So we actually were very lucky, and that's, I think, why they were doing all the Instagram or the phone ones right there and then the instant ones, because they wanted to have a little bit of content to start posting up before we started doing ours, because we do everything all the way from post to coloring to graphics. Between my partner and I, we pretty much have the entire post. If we need anything with sound or everything, we have a Rolodex of people. But we had, I want to say we had about a month after the shoot, but within that month, we had the most important videos that we had to push very quickly through in order for them to start the campaign. So that was ours. I mean, I'm sure Abiel knows that it's like, if you shoot them there, they're gone after that or something like that. It's like quick.
Do you think, go ahead, Mario, go ahead.
No, it's kind of just piggybacking off of that. We did the only thing I've done with TikTok's very similar, exactly what you're talking about. I have a Raptor as well, the Raptor and 2 Komodos, and one of the most recent jobs that we did was an 1800 party during Coachella. You know how they all have like all this like, side party things or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And they wanted to rent the Komodo, and I was like, well, what's the job? And we started talking about it, and very much it was, it's a live TikTok thing. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I don't know if you know about the Raptor, but it's got this tool and it already kind of does it for you. And we go straight live and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we want. And the whole thing was broadcasted in 4K, which is hilarious to me because going on TikTok and like, what? Like they're going to look on their phones.
What's the reasoning?
Yeah. But I mean, the rate was great. I ended up like steady hopping that thing with a pretty wide lens, which ended up being silly to me because in the end, there's so much depth of field that it kind of just looked like the phone anyways. Like a really, really high quality version of a phone, but still kind of like a phone. And I mean, our turnaround was life. There was no turnaround. It was just like we're on it. We're going.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they get what they get and we move on. And I mean, that one was brutal though, because we did. They were trying to do. You guys remember back in the 90s, whenever like MTV was doing like this the spring break party 1997, follow me, and they would be like a follow through the whole party thing. We're like, we're here with blood. Like they would interview that person, go to the next person, just all one continuous shot. That's literally the same thing we did, and it was brutal in the desert, man. It's just like between the heat, the sand just blasting me in the face. I had 2 grips just like holding nets just to make sure I didn't die type thing. It was gnarly. But yeah, man, and it's crazy because again, it is for TikTok, a thing that very much can just be done on a phone, and they're like dishing out real money. Like 1800 paid like a production budget. Like I had an AC, I had a DAT, I was technically DP operator. Like it was a real job. It was super weird to me, but yeah, I mean, in a way, you kind of have to some degree, I think, to be able to evolve with the times. You have to get with the times. You know, you have to. I can't imagine any of us are going to be shooting a feature at 9:16, right? But in terms of paying, please don't say that. But in terms of paying the bills, I mean, like the reality is like that is what consumers are consuming. So you know, they're done with chicken and they're eating rice. Let's make rice.
Now, do you guys think this is going to be like an area where there's going to be a bulk of work? Like, did you see this coming? Do you think that it's like something that your only job could be to film for TikTok and things like that?
I think from a commercial standpoint and from like, not commercial, because I don't want to use that term that loosely, but I think from a promotional standpoint, I absolutely see that being a thing. A really good friend of mine, Alex Draknik, she actually used to be my second AC. She's a bodybuilder, started doing like these videos. You might have seen them on TikTok or Instagram. The Russian mafia, the girl that like flips the cap of the vodka bottle and chugs it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So she's a good friend of mine. She used to be my second AC. She started doing Instagram videos and then TikTok videos. And now she owns like a full blown company where like all of the marketing done for EDC, for like huge festivals, she's in charge of that. And that is its own thing now, right? So they're still doing a commercial for EDC, but it's like this one commercial for EDC and then like this crazy amount of promo. So I think if anything, it's probably creating a new version of marketing that didn't exist before. And in the end, that's kind of what IMC is, I think.
Wow, that's wild. I mean, just something you're scrolling through on your phone that can have so much behind that video that you're about to scroll past. But it's pretty cool. And
it expires in 15 minutes. That's the craziest thing about it. They dump all this money on a thing that is going to be obsolete in like a day.
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. And then it's on to the next thing, like whatever the next trend or, you know, song, whatever. On to the next thing. Wild. Well, one thing that everyone loves to talk about when we do these panels is gear, like what your piece of gear is, what you must have in your gear kit, like or a piece of gear that you should have when you're starting out. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me about gear.
Oh, funny, because I looked at this question and I wrote, the only thing I wrote down was my phone.
Nice.
I'm deeply jealous of that.
Completely.
Yeah, just I mean, you know, I try my best to be very organized, you know, when I do shoot anything, and so I've tried to you know, either use an iPad or laptops or other devices like that to kind of stay organized on set. But I've just really found that like my phone is, you know, it's something I can keep in my pocket. I can quickly reference things. And, you know, with Artemis and the Sunseeker app, all of those kind of things, like, just like that is like, if I could take no other tool but that, I would be okay, you know? So that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, there's almost a light meter that's kind of comparable. It's close to comparable.
I know it's like
like within a third of the top, you know.
There's light meter, color meter. You know, you really can do quite a lot with just your phone. So,
insane.
I'm on board. I you know, it's funny with the TikTok thing. I've been like trying to convince a number of directors that I work with that we need to make a short film that just lives on TikTok. It's, you know, it's a new platform. It's very interesting. And I think that you can kind of take a lot of the ideas from it and, you know, say something new. So, yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, I was going to say Snapchat has their own damn feature out. I mean, why is TikTok not a thing with a feature yet? I mean, Snapchat, I think actually, no, I'm my mistake. I think they've got at least two.
They have definitely a TV show because I first they see it on a show.
Yeah, and it's like it's in that frame, and I mean, look at what was the short form company that went under?
Quibi. Yeah.
Quibi.
Yeah.
I mean, they had it. The only problem is I think that a feature film, I mean, how do you ingest a long form narrative in that frame? It's just not when the entirety of filmmaking has always been the high frame, the 2-for-1 in theaters, or 16:9 or 4:3 on TV. It's like there's nothing been that compressed. It's like I don't know. I don't understand the information capturing that way. In my opinion, I just don't see how people can continue 15 minutes. Sure, I'll give it to you.
Well,
Short form content.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Here's a question to that concept. How do you capture that, right? Like when you think about it, like most really iconic stills tend to be either like 1:1, 4:3, or straight up 9:16 vertical type stuff. Maybe not 9:16, but you get on sense that vertical thing. When you look at those images, they tend to be really wide frames, right? Which when you print them out to like a 24:36 setup, like it's amazing and you get all of the essence. When you're looking at it on your phone, that shot would be so tiny.
Oh yeah.
To be able to digest that, it would be ridiculous. So you have to commit to the close-up and tell a whole story in close-ups.
Yep.
I'm out.
Yeah, it's a hard sell. I mean, it's like what is it? Scorsese says like you live within that frame, and if that frame continues to get smaller and smaller, what are you going to do with it? It's just unbelievably hard to even. I mean, yeah, your close-ups, you can probably tell a story. I mean, it's fantastic, but when you have somebody like Shivo or somebody doing these vertical shorts, it's kind of like, oof. I don't know about you guys. When I saw that, I was like, I mean, it's great, but it still looks like a phone and it still looks like a vertical. And it doesn't give me any emotion, at least for me personally. It was just a hard thing to see.
I agree.
We have a question that came in. With the recent spike in costs, have you adjusted your day rates and gear rates?
Oh, God.
Yeah, they went up.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
It's like people should not lower them. So adjustment of yes, you continue to. That's I feel like that's a thing. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in, but I hate having to fight. These rates that are coming in and out. I hate having to fight a producer on what is the right tool for the job because they swear by. They think. I have a perfect example. I have a friend of mine who is a great first AC, and she had no data prep, and they took 2 mini LFs out to film, but they had no sound person because they thought that camera was going to have scratch audio, and that's where they're going to pull any sound from. And we literally laughed. We were like, this is the problem. This is why you don't pick the equipment. You leave the people who work with the equipment, the professionals, to pick it. Just because it's digital does not mean that it's democratized to the point where, somebody who's never held a camera decides that they're going to pick that's the equipment. So, and with that being said, I feel like that moves into the rate. It's like, yeah, there's people starting out, and I understand, you're getting your rate from the amount of work that you've had and stuff like that, but it's hard. I adjust my rates. I found out that I've adjusted my rates depending on the client, and I'm on a smaller company, so I think we've only been around for 4 years. So we're starting now. Finally, last year we started making a profit, which was really nice because usually it's 3 years on a company to start pulling profits, depending on what you have on your Rolodex of clientele. So we've managed to stay very, very comparable on the pricing and not have to shortchange anybody, because I'm a big person that, like, big believer in it. So if I don't want to shortchange my crew, I should never have to shortchange my crew. There's no reason for it. If I have to do it all myself, that's fine, but it's not what I want. It's like I want to have a crew of professionals that are going to do things 10 times better than I am, and I want to pay them their worth. So what other people don't understand is, like, there's the crew is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, aside from, the content that you want to put out there. But if you don't have the right crew for it, you don't. So, I mean, for me personally, Yeah, I mean, I've probably underballed once or twice in order to try to see about getting a job. I think we all have to a certain degree, but we shouldn't have to. My biggest thing is we should never have to. So, but with gear and things like that, it's hard. I mean, gear is now like cars. It depreciates the moment you buy it.
Mhm.
So you have to it's almost like we also have to keep up. I call it the long con. We have to keep up with everything that's going to be coming in the future.
Right.
Even though technically when you look at things, yeah, Netflix has this whole like the whole rule with 4K and stuff like that. And that's great because, you want to hold on to all that material and stuff like that. But human beings' eyes is scientifically proven don't see anything higher than that. So all you're seeing is brightness more than anything. So there's a lot of things that don't make sense, but I guess that's my 2 cents. I rambled on that one.
Oh, that's great. Daniel, you seemed really passionate when I said about
I actually wanted to I wanted to ask, what was that question again?
Sure. With the recent spike in costs, have you adjusted your day rates and gear rates?
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. Spiking cost in terms of spiking costs in
the world, I'm gonna guess.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, the way I think about it is, I agree with Neil. My way of thinking about it is, don't buy it unless you need to use it, right?
Agreed.
And because equipment is constantly changing, like especially cameras, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. They change every year. 4K, 2K, 8K, 5K, 6K, and we're going on and on and on. And I mean, the only thing that really doesn't change as fast is lighting, but lighting is changing quickly also. It's insane. So what I tell clients is, I ask them to pay me for what they're paying for my professionalism. They're not paying for my equipment. They're not paying for, how big the crew is. They're paying for how well I can tell their story, and from the work they've seen on my site, from the sample work. So you're paying for a certain feel and a certain quality. And when I talk to clients and they're like, and a lot of clients don't know what things cost. Like, they just don't. They're like, well, how much is it going to cost me for a 3-minute video? I said, well, it can cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $150,000. Depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a real moving target. I could never have that. Like, it's a almost impossible thing to answer. Like, do you increase your cost? We increase our cost just like everybody else does in terms of wage of living. Right. And you have to pay more for rent, and then I'm going to charge more for my time. But I think that I think it's really important, as Neil says, you want to pay your crew what you always pay them, because they expect that's what you're going to pay them. And my butter is my crew. They're like my golden egg, the goose that laid the golden egg, because I want them to be with me. They know me. I worked with them for 20 years. I don't have to explain anything. And so I have a set rate that I feel like that's what I need to make. And I've had to turn work down. And that's when it really hurts. Sometimes you're like, oh shoot, I'm too expensive for those folks. And I think for each person on this panel, you have to pay for certain things in life, and you make those decisions. But I always try to say that never discount if you don't really, really, really have to, because once you discount, that's it. They're always going to ask for that lower rate. And
a friend and family discount.
Exactly. Yeah. and then it also depends on what tier of people you're working with. If you're working for a corporation like HP or Apple or big, you do commercial rates, and these are my commercial rates. And sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll have a commercial rate, and I'll have a small business rate, and then I'll have a PSA rate, like public service announcement rate. So, and those 3 rates basically stay about the same. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know how everybody else works.
I agree with that. Sorry.
For me, it's a little bit different. I don't have any crew. I'm a one-man band, so I kind of just am usually by myself. I actually worked with Mario on an event a couple of months ago on another TikTok event. Yeah, another TikTok event, of course.
Right. Is that what that was? I didn't even.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So it's tough trying to tell people like, oh, I need to charge you more because like things are going up more and everything. But I appreciate the people who do take that into consideration. Like you said, like you can charge $5,000 for a 3-minute video. You can also charge $150,000 for a 3-minute video. It's all about what you want. And it's nice when people are able to do that, but I mean, I still have some bills to pay. So like I do take the lower end work. And, with everything that's happened with COVID and everything, I know that some people definitely, just are going through some tough times. So like, I'll try to be considerate, but I mean, at the same time, I don't want to then like do too much work and then feel very, very underappreciated, because that has happened as well. And then it's just like, we're going on to day 5 or revision number something. And then it's just like, all right, like now I'm just losing money, time, patience, everything. But, it's give and go. It's 50-50, honestly. It's like, I try to be conservative, but sometimes I'm just like, all right, fine. I'll do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Fine.
So
Mario, one thing you put in the chat was, go. I was going to say, you said rent it. And a lot of people say that, like for equipment. Mario,
I can touch on that in a second. So one of the things that I was going to say is taking a different stance on like why racing rates or why turning down jobs based on rates. So I've turned down 2 features this year that I really wanted to do, that I desperately wanted to do, and honestly, I would have done them for free. The reason why I didn't take them is because one of them, for example, I've done this long enough. I've done enough features to where I kind of know what things are going to cost, even if I don't get paid, even if I completely pull all my homies' favors, get a Panavision baggage for free type stuff. I know what things are going to cost. These features that were offered to me were $500K. That was the budget that they had. And the reality is like, they needed to be like $2 million at the lowest end. The stuff that they were trying to do, I loved it. The script was a genius freaking masterpiece. I loved it. And I had the conversation with producers like, I want to do this and I want you to do this and I want this to happen. But you need to understand you don't have enough money to make your movie, and you're doing yourself a disservice by making your movie for the amount you're making it, because your script is good enough to be good. It is good enough to sell huge, and you're going to completely kill yourself by undercutting everybody, by trying to make it cheap, by trying to do these things. And you're literally making your script less than what it is. You're making your story less than what it is by trying to make it right now because we have $500K. Like, I get it. That sounds like a lot of money, but when you're running a business and you have, 50 to 100 employees, you got to pay for 30 to 40 days all at once. Like 100K is really not that much.
It goes away fast.
It goes away real quick. And I think a lot of this, like younger entrepreneur-based directors that are like, oh, well, like when I got this money, I want to make my first movie. That sounds great. And I bought this awesome script, and you read it, the script is great. You don't have enough to make the script look as good as it looks on page, And I think that's a really good, that's my first time I've ever done that. And this is my first year where I ever turned down a feature that I really wanted to do, not because they couldn't pay me enough or because my rate was too high, because it very much was for them, but because even if they didn't pay me, even if I called the favors, it wasn't going to be what that movie could be. And to me, I'm at a point in my career now where like, I don't just want to make a feature. I've made features. That's cool. I want to make a good feature. I want to make something that I'm like, yo, this is awesome. And you have to start at some point, like realizing, yo, like this is what this costs. Even on the low end, this is what it costs to get greatness. And the script is great. So I'm not turning it down because I don't want to do it. Turning it down because I want you to realize that you can do better with your script. And that's a really tough thing to say, to have that conversation. Obviously, I didn't say it that way, but like, it's a really tough conversation to have. And it's a really tough thing to let go of, because I know that they probably hired some other kid that was like, I'll do it for 500. And I just know that it's just not going to look as good. And like, I was so invested in this project. It's brutal. But that's, I think, a different look, because I agree with everything you guys said, right? Like, yeah, you got to take care of your crew as costs increase. You got to, take care of the business and all that stuff. But then talking, looking at it from the AVL perspective of like, yo, I really care about this. And like, because I care about this, I want to do it. There's also that like, double-edged sword of like, because I care about this, I want to do it. But is me doing this going to be good? good enough, better than it could be, better than than it currently is, and that's a scary thing. And in terms of renting stuff, like I said earlier, I have 2 Komodos and a Raptor, and I'm probably going to sell all 3 of them pretty soon to put down a deposit on an Alexa Mini 35, which it's out. I am on the list on a couple of places for that. It is an interesting ecosystem in LA that I've found recently, that unless you're working your way through the inside of the feature world or through the inside of the system, it seems to me that having the gear gets you the job. And that is really frustrating, because the reality is, yes, okay, I had an Alexa Mini for a while, right? And I sold it to go 4K because, I needed to. And that Alexa Mini got me a mountain of freaking work. The funniest thing is, I would still rent them the camera. I would still charge them the rental. So it's right, exactly. So it's like, this company's like, oh, well, we're getting this guy with the camera for this much and this much. And it's like, if I didn't own it, we'd still have to rent it. like you guys think you're getting a deal. You're really not. Like, I mean, you have a guarantee that I'm going to show up with a camera, but there's a mountain of freaking rental houses in LA. The same thing's going to happen no matter what you do, right? So really the smart thing should be to rent it from rental houses. But I think a lot of production companies get scared of that. They get scared of like, well, this guy's this much, and then we got to rent this thing, then we got to rent this other thing. Whereas you tell them, oh, no, this is my total number, and I'm going to show up with the camera. They're like, oh, great. And
you can also buy a used Alexa, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, used Alexa is going to be a lot less.
And it's just as good. They won't be able to tell the difference.
Exactly.
I mean, you can look at the 35. It's going out for sale now. You probably give yourself another month and a half, and you're going to see a bunch of them come out and be like, "Yep, this is where." I mean, because everybody, there's a very big truth in what you're saying. It's like once you have the gear, a lot of people will do that, but then it does come out. It's really funny. I have my stories. I started out with an Ursa. I literally did my first short film in LA. I bought an Ursa. And the reason I did that is because I was I knew, like I said, the long con for me was I knew I wanted to start a production company because I wanted to make my own content first and foremost. And then if I used a production company, obviously, to make other stuff for clients, that's fantastic. But my production company to me is more of, I want to make my things. And I want to sell my things. I want to get to that level. But I bought an Ursa Mini because I have a friend who bought an Amira straight out of school. So from Full Sail University, you go your debt goes into about 70 to 80K. And then he bought $100,000 camera right behind that, to which he finally paid off. I think it was a year and a half or 2 years ago. But I decided to go with a $5,000 camera, and I put it next to his with the same lenses, and it was literally the same image. So it was, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, yeah, the name, obviously, because it's like every other gear equipment. It's like, if you don't have the name Red or Ari, you're not looked at the same way. But I started putting content and filming as much as I could with the camera. And all of a sudden people were like, oh, wow, okay, so you did that with an Ursa. Great, let's hire you to do this and this. So obviously I say that now, but now I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, now I can buy the Raptor. Now I can go with that, because now I know that even though I have these other cameras, the name still gives you, like you said, that one name gives you, it's exponentially, like the percentage of people that call you all of a sudden when you post the fact that you own that type of camera, it's stupid.
I have it on my Instagram on purpose. Like the first 2 features I did, I don't know if you're familiar, I shot them on a Kinefinity.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I bought a Kinefinity when it came out. I had a Kine Mini 4K. My first 2 features were on that. And frankly, to this day, if it wasn't for the post-production, for like managing like the workflow, it's a nightmare on that camera.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, I'd still be shooting on it. I genuinely think it's the
great camera
you can get to an Alexa. And at the time I bought it for like $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was crazy. And to me, like you look at the Mavo, you look at a couple of these other Kinefinity cameras that I guarantee you maybe not no one, but like a solid 80% of people that are probably watching this have ever heard of. Dude, these cameras are really freaking good. Like really, really good.
Yeah.
For like a crazy price. But you tell somebody, oh, it's a Chinese camera called Kinefinity, and like production's like, whoa. What is this thing again? No, I don't know. What about a Red or an Alexa? And so, like you said, that's at some point you realize, okay, great, I can give you the image you want, probably a better one with this other tool, but you got to see the sticker. It's the same reason why, and I don't know about you guys, but when I was, and this is kind of a thing to Ryan, when because I also came out G&E side for a little bit. One of the things that drove me crazy when I was working on like higher end music videos is that a lot of DPs would love to throw like 1,000 lights that were not even actually playing, right? Because the client, the label wants to see where the money's going, right? So you overdo this thing to make it look like you're really freaking this big thing, and like it's really not, and it's just so silly. And I don't know if you had a similar experience, but I definitely remember like doing a lot of like G&E work and being like, why are we hanging this light 300? It's like a Nova, like 9,000 feet back there. It's not gonna read. But
Yeah.
like you're building like a 20 by frame, but putting like one M18 2 feet away from it. You're like, why? Because the client wants to see it.
Yeah, I've definitely I don't know, because I've been shooting a little bit on the at least on like smaller jobs where it's like social media content or something like that. I've been using the FX6 instead of using the Alexa Mini, and I really like that camera, but I bought the Sony G Master zooms with it, and like while that combo like is great for somebody who wants like a clean, nice image, I did a job with kind of a bigger commercial production company, but it was a multicam thing. It really made sense for us to shoot, not shoot on Alexa Mini or something. And I owned 2 of the FX6s, and so yeah, it's like, oh man, like if I use the Sony G Masters, like is it going to look like I'm a DP? That is the big question. And so, I was like, it's tough because, the other thing too is like, the dependability of all this stuff as well. And is it a professional, piece of equipment? I don't know.
It was definitely a gamble with the Infinity, man. I didn't know what I was going to get. I was scared that it was going to crap out of me halfway through. It turned out it's a phenomenal camera, but like,
it works great.
Canon has a reputation. Blackmagic has a reputation. I know that if shit hits the fan, I can go to them. So that's a great thing, and that is a valuable point.
And I ended up just getting the Optimo EZs instead, which I'm like, okay, honestly, this is still like far cheaper than I think they were expecting it to be for the camera package. But, we got a camera, it looks like a camera, and everybody feels very confident, including the client as well, because I think that is a big thing to keep in mind. So.
And the client is what I was going to say. That's one of the biggest things. I've done 2 national commercials before even doing the company when I was coming out of school, and one of them was for the web. It's the web cheapoair.com, which does all the flights and stuff like that. And it's so interesting because they put up. It's probably one of the biggest budgets I've had in 2014, 2015, but they did not send the client. They never sent anyone as client. We shot it all in Florida. Their main base is in New York. But it was really interesting to see the format of a company that just wanted to save money. So the reason they didn't save a client is because I had to come up with contracts in order to do a one-time buyout for the actors and for the composer, because they did not want to pay residuals for the next 5 years on the 2 people. So that's like, and I didn't think 2 things about it. I found a really good friend of mine who was a SAG actor who said, yeah, sure, I'll take a $10,000 paycheck for 12 hours. Why not? And I just won't really, sign my rights away for the next 5 years. And and the composer the same way. And it was like, Jesus. But it's really interesting because, between having a client there and not having one, it's miles away, like one of the coolest things. Because the client wants to see everything. Obviously, they want to see everything. And then the other thing is I don't know if you guys have had this, but when the clients come in and they want to be a part of it, even though they have no knowledge, all they're there is to look at the work and take pictures and send back. But then they're coming in and they're like, well, why are we not doing it this way and this way and this way? And it's like, is the big boss telling you to tell me this? And it's like, oh no, I just thought of it that way. I think it would be cool. I was like, you're here to take pictures and record. It's like, unless I get a message from the big person up top that's signing the check, I'm not doing that. So it's a really fun way of having to speak that language while you're on set and then showcasing everything. But there's clients that are very good at seeing that. And there's some clients, man, that I've seen that it's like like, what camera do you have? It's a red. Okay, perfect. And they walk away. It's like, what is happening?
Very cool. Well, thanks for talking about all the gear talk. We had a question that came in while you guys were talking about that. And it was from Charles. Hey, Charles. And he wants to know if you guys are still wearing masks indoors, I'm assuming on set. San Francisco, 6 months ago, we had to wear masks everywhere unless outdoors.
Yeah, in LA, I mean, for me personally, LA, it's a given, and it should be. I think it should be everywhere, especially inside. And the reason I say that personally is because it's really funny. I make a lot of my money on the side, which goes to the company, but I do a lot of camera work. So I do a lot of even reality shows, but that are union, which are few and far in between. But I did a travel one recently that was really weird. They had no COVID at all, and we were traveling from state to state every week and a half in each state, filming families, and they had no COVID compliance. The very first day of filming, our sound person and our makeup person got a COVID antigen test positive, which is kind of 50-50 a throw out anyways. But they kept going, and we kept filming. And then the second week, when they finally postponed the show, they postponed it because the host got COVID. They didn't check correctly, or the tests were just antigen tests. So for 2 days, I think he had COVID, but they hadn't PCR'd him, and so he basically gave it to all of us.
Was this a union shoot?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I mean, it makes, I know I should have prefaced that, but it was one of those things where it's like I don't understand it. I mean, I feel like the pandemic hasn't really left. I mean, whoever's been vaccinated, boosted, and everything. I personally have had all the shots and stuff, and I'll walk out without a mask without my doors, but inside it's still. I mean, because think about it, a lot of people swear it's no pandemic, everybody's back to work. But if you had COVID, nobody's going to put you on set. So why would you want to risk that? It makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, I mean, it's different state to state. In LA, I think for me personally, inside, mask up and continue to do it. It's the easier, more safe way.
I think there's a protocol that we take. First of all, the protocol, even we're not a union company, so the protocol we take is that, and we do shoot in San Francisco all the time, is that if masks are mandated by the city, we absolutely wear them. Right. Number one. If they're not mandated by the city, we still wear them as the crew, and then I ask the client who comes to the set or whoever if they wouldn't mind wearing the mask, or how do they feel about it. I always ask them, what they feel. And I always tell them, like, we're just trying to stay safe. We want to make, but we've had an issue where we had a client that decided they didn't want to wear a mask on the set, which was very frustrating and upsetting, So part of me feels like sometimes if it happens where there's an outbreak and we're mandated to wear it, then if they don't wear it, we don't shoot. We're done. And we take our deposit.
That's interesting that you say that. That's really interesting, because me as a company as well, we had somebody come in kind of like that, and we're like, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine, but then you can't be on set, or at least your vicinity of the set has to be far away. And they were like, well, we're paying for this, and I was like, yes, but your insurance is not covering it. This is my production insurance. And if that's the only way that I ever got the client to finally go, oh shit, okay. So then, because I basically made it almost like a law, like, look, it's my production company. I've literally I have a COVID compliance officer on set. Everything is through the company, and obviously I budgeted so that you guys have to pay for it too. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is your name and my name. And if you don't think your name is valuable, my name as a production company is valuable. So I am not even going to try to do that. It's like, we all will wear masks. And even our lunch, it's like nobody sits on the damn table. It's like we have, 6 feet apart on our tables. We have 2 other people if we have the space and we have a large crew.
So I have a question. I have a question. Is it more basically, because like I'm a company on paper technically, but like I don't operate as a company. I operate as an individual with a company. my question to you is it more based on legal, right? Because I can preface a little bit more, or we can just go from there. Is it more based on legal? The reasoning behind my question being that when the pandemic hit, you couldn't. I wore my mask to go to sleep. Like, I was terrified of this whole thing. The second the vaccine came out and I took the shots and I took the second shot, I stopped wearing it. I was like, I'm good. I don't need to wear this again. And unfortunately, that's why I got COVID on set one time. But since then, like, weirdly enough, it's just been like, I have this like weird sense of like just like comfort level, and like unless I'm doing like a thing with Disney or Paramount or a couple of companies that I work with that require the masks and they're super serious about it. But it very much feels from a legal standpoint. It doesn't feel like, oh, we want you to be healthy. It's like, no, we just don't want you to sue us.
I see, but to me personally, I can tell you right off the bat, if you're working for me or for my company, I would require it. And there is a legality to it, at least me as a company. But at the same time, the first thing I tell everybody who will question the mask on my set, it's like, well, think about it this way. Something happens on this set and you get COVID, that means whatever you have coming up after, you're going to get screwed out of. Because as soon as you test positive somewhere else, especially in the jobs like you're talking about, because trust me, I work Warner Brothers, Disney, and everybody, they're going to look at you and go, nope. And the thing is my other reasoning for it, and this happened to me as well, is when I finally got COVID with the show months ago, it wasn't where I got a negative test 5 days later. I had to wait another 10 days before the PCR actually came out negative, even though I was technically, from what science says, I wasn't in anywhere like I was going to give it to anybody. But on paper, if I go to a set and I show that I'm positive, I'm never going to work. So I try to explain that in a certain way. I mean, because a lot of people will just not understand it that way. But yeah, to answer your question, I think to me it's two-pronged. It's definitely legality because, as you said, it's a company. I have production insurance that I pay yearly, and that production insurance is in there for workers' comp and everything like that. And I would much rather make sure that everybody's healthy on set than to have to pay a workers' comp or somebody who's got COVID who is not working for me. It doesn't make any sense, especially if I have all the tools at my disposal to keep that from happening.
And by the way, just so we're all super clear, if any production I ever work for is like, yo, you need to wear a mask, I do wear a mask. I'm not that. I wanted to get that out of the way, but no, very much that is an interesting question. It's a thing that I find interesting to ask smaller production companies again, because the bigger ones very much feel like they just want to save face. It's not that they care; they just want to save face.
Well, one other thing that we do is we actually use wireless video with our clients. So even like if there's somebody that really doesn't want to wear a mask, we say no problem. Here, grab your iPad. Here's the wireless router number. Go to the other room. You're more than happy to watch.
Yeah.
A note for us, text us, or call us. We've been more than happy. I mean, we try to accommodate, and
sure.
And we've done a lot of. And I bought a whole wireless system just so that, the clients can be somewhere else, and then they feel safe too.
Yeah, it's a smart, very smart move. Very smart move for sure.
We have one more quick question that just came in before we wrap. Has 3D gone away, or do you see it for the future sometime?
God, I hope.
I hate to say it, but this Christmas it's going to come back. I hate to be the one to say it, only because I was in that boat for 3 years filming, and we, Venice is all the way, top and bottom, all
Avatar.
Yeah, stereoscopic all the way. So it's gonna come back. Thankfully it's not 3D where shit gets thrown in your face. So there's a lot of depth, which is really interesting because of the scale of what this next movie is gonna be. I feel like a lot of people are gonna enjoy it. Now, will it stay? I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'm sure Hollywood will pull it up and go again on it, but I can't say, like, come December, it'll either be a big craze or it'll be like really, I mean, it'll at least be fun to watch.
I'll have to ask. So it's interesting. Neil, Dilip Rao, one of the writers, also one of the actors in Avatar, which you worked. He lives in my building. He was in one of the shorts I did recently.
Oh, nice.
Awesome freaking dude. I asked him that question. Weirdly, I was like, "Are we going 3D on this?" And he's like, "Yeah." I just got in the elevator and it just closed. And I was like, Was that a good yeah? Was that a bad yeah? What's your take on that? Is it a good yeah or is it a bad yeah?
From what I saw, I mean, there's the thing is I'm not a fanboy of James Cameron, but I am a massive fan. I mean, it was really interesting. I got to work with him for close to 3 years, like literally next to him. I mean, he even saw two of my short films, which was I have that to live for. It's like, yay, James Cameron critiqued two of my films. But no, it's really interesting because there's the 3D aspect. All you're doing is growing, I guess, from what he did on the first one. What's interesting about this one is that he found a way to film motion capture underwater, and he did it correctly, which is one of the scariest things. I mean, it was about 6 or 7 months in a water tank, and that was the most interesting thing I've ever seen set up. I just think he won't make a movie unless he breaks through with something technological wise. So that's the inspiration, that's the motivation to go see a film of his caliber.
Yeah.
And like I think that's one of the things that I told a friend of mine. It's like, when have you ever seen a James Cameron movie flop? And that should answer that question.
When have you ever seen a Cameron movie do what?
A flop. Has one of his movies ever flopped is the question. And that I feel like that would answer. I mean, like I said, it's going to be awesome.
Piranha? Did he make Piranha? Yeah, I think he made Piranha.
Oh, that we don't talk about that.
Piranha.
There it is.
That's the one that I hope he does. Yeah, I can't talk about that one. I'll never say a word about that one.
That's the Biz one though. Like, what?
We couldn't even talk about that on set. Let's put it that way. It was off the subject.
Well, guys, I wish we could continue this talk for another hour, because I think we all could still talk about everything for an hour, and it'd be so informative. And this has been a lot of fun. But we do have to wrap. And the last thing we do every webcast is I go down the line again, and you just kind of say where people can find you. If you have a website you want to promote, a project you want to promote, or your Instagram handle, whatever you'd like to do, now is the time. And Daniel, I will start with you.
Great. My company name is enlightenedpictures.com. So you can find me on the internet. Enlightened is basically something I came up with in 2002 when I came out of film school, because I've always felt like I want to learn something. So, and it's Enlightened, spelled with an ED. And you can find all my work, and my recent short that's on the New Yorker documentary series is also there. Yeah. You know, I don't really have an Instagram handle. Sorry.
Oh.
I mean, I have a lot of pictures. I mean, I always think that the work speaks for itself. You know, if I have to take a picture of myself on the film set, I'm like, why am I doing that?
I was here.
It happened. Yeah, I love to tell. I think it's all about telling a great story, no matter what kind of equipment we talk about. In the end, you can make a great story with an iPhone, a Super 8 camera, whatever there is. It's all about the story.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And Neil, we'll go with you next.
So my company, my company's name is Film Dreams Inc. You can find Film Dreams Inc. on YouTube, Vimeo, actually Instagram and TikTok. Our TikTok really doesn't show our work. It actually shows, for some reason, our page became a behind the scenes page of the jobs that we do, which is really just pictures of people doing really fun stuff on set, and cameras and all the stuff that we love to do. You can find it on Instagram. My page is Neil Watson Director on Instagram. We're currently literally prepping about 3 short films right now, which is really fun because we're doing one with one of the actors from Baby Driver. His name's CJ Jones, who I met a long time ago. And then, I think that's pretty much it. It's for us in the company. We tell a lot of stories. We love really, really good scripts. I'm a writer as well. So it's, like Daniel said, like everybody here is, we're here to tell really, really fun, really good stories, be it personal or any of that nature. And it's a lot of fun. And it's been great chatting with everyone here.
Well, thank you for being here. Abiel, I didn't say that correctly, did I?
That's fine. Abiel. No worries.
Abiel.
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 I'm used to listen. It happens all the
I'm
time.
sorry.
It's all good. No worries. I'm not really on. I don't post much on social media. You'll see pictures of me and my daughter probably more than anything.
You
But
don't TikTok? You make TikToks, but you
No,
don't post TikToks?
I'll start scrolling and then never stop for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Then I just close the app completely. But Abiel Isaac Films on Instagram, yeah, there's some work there. I usually don't post too much there. A lot of my stuff is more internal, so I can't really share a lot of it. But yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. And Ryan.
Yes, I posted my website, ryanthomasdp.com, in the chat, and then also my Instagram, rdthomas. So all
Perfect.
there.
Well, thank you. And Mario.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna like follow all of you guys on IG, whether you're posting pictures of your dog or your food.
Nice.
I would love to
Perfect.
work with you guys. Yeah.
That's the way.
I am in terms of projects coming up. I have a feature that I will be DPing at the end of the year. I have a short that I'm very excited about. We're shooting everything on film. Most recent project just did a thing for Vice. DP'd a documentary called it's a documentary series called In Search for Q. If you want to check it out, it'd be awesome. I am clicking enter on all of my stuff on the chat if you want to check it out. Real Instagram. My Instagram on I post a lot of stuff on my stories very regularly. My last post was my reel, and it's like a year old. So, and before that was like 2 years ago. I don't post a whole lot as an actual post. I might start doing it a little bit more, but yeah. Other than that, you need a DP, give any of us a call. Awesome.
Well, thank you all so much again for being here. And for everybody watching, I am Sarah Marintz. You can find anything voiceover, and I'll help you out with any of your voiceover needs at sarahmarintz.com and at Sarah Marintz on Instagram. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to y'all next time. You might be looking at Shoot Stop Video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me, B, just giving me options and having me handle it, or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoot Stop Video, and happy shooting!